The Buffalo Bills finished the 2025 NFL season 12-5 in the regular season and lost in overtime to the Denver Broncos in the divisional round. Pretty disappointing year, all things considered. So in today's video, I will be doing a mock off-season for the Buffalo Bills. Hit the like and subscribe button if you're new and go on to enjoy. Let's hop into it. So the way the video is going to work is we are going to begin by talking about what happened in the 2025 season. We'll then talk about some team needs. We will then move over to re-signing some players who are free agents on the team. We'll then do my free agency plan. And then at the very end of the video, I will be doing a 4-round mock draft for the Buffalo Bills. With that said, let us look at what happened in 25. And to be honest with you, let's be honest, the regular season was just kind of a wash. We already knew the AFC East was, at least we thought, not going to be particularly strong. It turns out the New England Patriots were pretty damn good this year. Regardless of that, though, it really didn't matter whether they won the division or not. We knew this team was going to make it into the playoffs. And once they made it into the playoffs, given the fact that the Ravens were not in there, the Chiefs weren't in there, the Bengals weren't in there, this was one of the more experienced playoff teams out there. In fact, I think you'd make the argument they were the most experienced team in the AFC side of things. But unfortunately, as we all know, they would go up against a very good Denver football team, a Denver team that was coming off a bye, had Bo Nix playing, and had one of the better defenses in the league, and they lost the game. A very disappointing outcome for what was a season where it felt like a lot was on the line. And let's not forget, in this game, Josh Allen, for all the good things he does, he had himself a hell of a bad game. 2 interceptions, he had multiple fumbles. You can see 3 fumbles, 2 lost. It was just a rough game for him. And so now we are entering into the offseason where it feels like there's a lot on the line. You just hired Joe Brady to now be your head coach. Not the biggest fan of the hire, but it is what it is. Josh Allen's on his massive contract. It feels like this team is just starting to, I don't know, kind of lose faith and lose grip with the idea of winning a championship. And so it's a big time year. They have to be aggressive this offseason, and unfortunately, they have to do so with a lot of big time needs and also not a lot of money. So with that said, let us go ahead and talk about some team needs because, of course, there's a couple of them. So when it comes to some team needs, I think the biggest need that everyone has been talking about, and rightfully so, is a top-tier wide receiver. This team was so good with Stephon Diggs on the offensive end, then let's be honest, that was the closest they would have gotten to a championship when they had Stephon Diggs. Since Diggs has obviously went to Houston and then, of course, the New England Patriots, you've been relying on guys like Khalil Shakir to step into a massive role. And while he's a very quality football player, he's not a wide receiver one. And so last offseason, they tried it with Joshua Palmer. He just didn't really do much this year. And then Keon Coleman, your second-round pick, really has not blossomed into the star that we thought he was going to be. Then you have all the off-the-field stuff with the general, I guess was GM or somebody, owner or whoever, just absolutely blasting Keon Coleman in the media, which was a horrific look. And so now you're entering into a season that is I don't want to say make or break, but a massive year, and you don't have a wide receiver one. And frankly, Khalil Shakir is just a good number 2, but I wouldn't call him a difference maker per se. He's just a very reliable, consistent player. You don't have a difference maker in this receiving core, so you have to find one. In addition to that, I think that this team needs several pieces in the front 7. I mean, I know that Deion Walker played pretty well. You have options there. You have some young guys, some veterans, some dudes that have been playing for a long time in that role. But this is one of the worst run stuffing units in all of football last year. Genuinely speaking, the linebackers were bad. The front 7, was kind of up and down. This was not a great unit. Now, yes, there were some injuries. Ed Oliver missed a lot of time this year, which is a massive part of that unit. But still, that front 7 legitimately needs, 2-3 starters, which they'll have to do this offseason. In addition to that, they have 2 offensive linemen, 2 starting offensive linemen that are hitting for agency, Connor McGovern and David Edwards. Both guys I would love to bring back, but we'll have to see if it fits within the money situation. If we lose one or both of those guys, we're going to need some interior offensive linemen to make sure that offensive line stays upright. And then we're also going to need a strong safety. Obviously, we have Cole Bishop back there as that free safety. We feel pretty good about him. He's been playing pretty good football. Taylor Rapp, I think, is a free agent. Even if not, we need an upgrade in that room. So wide receiver 1, front 7 work, a safety, and some potential interior offensive line replacements. With that said, let us go ahead and look at the finances and let's talk about who we need to re-sign and who we're going to let walk. So in order to do this, I am going to be using Spot Track, and I will also be using Over the Cap. Both these numbers are a little bit different. This one says -3.8. This one says negative 5.8, not a big difference. The reason why I'll be using both platforms is just so we have some clarity on the contract situation, because unfortunately Spot Track and Over the Cap are not perfect platforms. They're good though. So again, negative 5 million here, negative 3 million over there. Not an ideal situation, and unfortunately they don't have like a ton of like very cuttable contracts. They have a couple, but none that are going to open up a boatload of money. They also don't have a ton of like awesome restructure options either. If you go to Over the Cap here, if you just look and you click restructure right here, $12 million here, $11 million here, $8 million here, that's good. But like you look at like a Patrick Mahomes restructure, which is like $30 million, or you look at like the Dallas Cowboys, who can restructure Dak, CD, and whoever else they want, and that can open up like 20 million per player. Not really the case right here. So that does make things very tricky. Now, with that said, we are going to go ahead and make some restructures. Obviously, the big one here, Josh Allen. We're going to go ahead and restructure this one to call it a conversion. By doing that by itself, it just brings you right up into the positive at $6 million. This right here is not even enough to pay your rookie class, so we're going to have to do a few other moves. Dion Dawkins. Obviously, big cap hit. Let's go ahead and do the same thing here. Let's restructure his deal. That gets us up to about $17.6 million. And then we're also going to go ahead and do Ed Oliver as well. 3 massive restructures here. That gets us up to $27.8 million. But then we're going to go ahead and cut 2 players post June 1st, and that's why I'm going to bring in Over the Cap over here, because unfortunately Spot Track does not clearly state the numbers. If we go over here and we go to cut post June 1st, we're going to cut Dawson Knox post June 1st, which will save us $12 million in cap space, and we're also going to go down here to Curtis Samuel and cut him also post June 1st, which saves us about $7.8 million in open cap space. Again, went over the cap, because if I do it over here, you can see apply post June 1st release. It doesn't change the number here. So this is 12 million saved right here with a 5 million in dead cap. And then Curtis Samuel, same ordeal over here. That is plus $7 million, $7.8 million with $2 million in dead cap. So it doesn't update here. We're working with approximately around $50 million in cap space, which is a bit of helpful money, but we don't have like a ton of other options. Again, you know, maybe you can make the argument for like Greg Rousseau or Josh Palmer. Like Josh Palmer is kind of an interesting one, but if you cut him like pre June 1st, you can see it doesn't really actually do anything for you. So it doesn't really make any sense to do that. And you can't cut more than 2 players post June 1st. So it is what it is there. Plus his post June 1st, like it's like $2 million anyway, so it's not a ton. Teron Johnson is somebody that you could definitely consider cutting. I ultimately did not, because I still think he's a quality football player, and we're trying to win now. And yeah, he's 30, but he's still quality, and getting rid of him, I just feel like makes us a little bit worse. So those are the moves we made. We're up to about, again, this is 27, but in reality, we're up to about $50 million. This will all come in after post June 1st with the Dawson Knox and Curtis Samuel money. We're going to go ahead now and look at the team free agents, and here we go. Some big time names here: Joey Bosa, Daquan Jones, Connor McGovern, Larry Ogunjobi, H.A. Epinesa, David Edwards, Tre'Davious White, Mitchell Trubisky, Jack Thompson, who was arguably their best linebacker this year, Gabe Davis, your punter, and I think your kicker. Yeah, your kicker here too. I mean, God, this is absolutely brutal. So with that said, we have some decisions to make, and I think we're going to start off here with the offensive line. And again, I would love to be able to keep both David Edwards and Connor McGovern. I think it would be unbelievably great if they could somehow bring both of them back, but realistically speaking, that's very difficult. Like, it's extremely difficult to do so, and you don't have a ton of money, and we still want to make some moves in free agency. So unfortunately, we might be hard capped here to just pick one of the two. And if I'm going to pick one of the two, I guess I'll go with Connor McGovern here. He plays center. I think it's easy to find a guard replacement in the draft. Yeah, it's hard to find a David Edwards, but, you know, it is what it is. We're going to bring back Connor McGovern. I'm not going to give him a specific contract. I'll do it via the market value. That is 3 years, $48 million for Connor McGovern. Let us knock this out. You can see this is their market value for year one. His year one cap hit will be 5.5. Let's sign the player. You can see just that right there brings us down to, I guess that would be what, like $44 million in cap space. Again, we're kind of rounding here. Next, we're going to go ahead and bring back Tre'Davious White, who, yeah, he's he's old, but you know what? He played some pretty damn good football when you needed it last year. He's also pretty cheap. His market value is just basically a minimum contract. I think it's a little bit light. I think it'd probably be more like a $2 to $3 million deal. So, but you know, this is what they say. So this is what we're going to rock with. We'll bring back Tre'Davious White here on a 1-year deal. We'll also bring back Mitchell Trubisky Your backup quarterback, you maybe could let him walk and then draft like a rookie. Maybe. I mean, Josh Allen's not an injury-prone quarterback, but he has had a couple little nicks here and there. Mitchell Trubisky has just been a quality player for this team. So let's bring back Mitch Trubisky. His year one cap hit would just be $2.758 million. Let's sign Mitchell Trubisky. Other than that, like Joey Bosa, unfortunately, we're going to have to let him leave. Daquan Jones, Larry Ogunjobi, probably going to have to let those guys leave as well, which kind of just eats into our depth and some pieces. Good thing we have Deion Walker in that interior who played really good football last year. Matt Milano, unfortunately, injuries just kind of derailed his career. We're going to let him walk as well. AJ Epinesa is interesting. We could bring him back for kind of cheap. I mean, it's kind of a rotational piece that does his job. I don't know. I mean, we'll let him leave too. David Edwards, of course, would love to bring him back. What is his deal? 3 years, 59. Yeah, it's just a little bit too much for a guard. I mean, that's a lot of money on your offensive line. So, unfortunately, we'll let David Edwards walk. We'll bring back Reggie Gilliam. I mean, it's going to be what, a minimum contract? Yeah, he's a fullback. And like, you can talk me into Shaq Thompson, but it's a pretty good linebacker class this offseason, so we'll let him go. And maybe Brandon Cooks, who actually made some plays last year. What's his contract looking like? Basically 1 year, $3 million. Yeah, let's run that in. We'll do that as well. We'll bring back Brandon Cooks. We got to bring back our punter as well. He will get, I guess, the minimum as well. Other than that, we're going to probably have to draft a kicker, or unless we want to bring back, I guess, Matt Prater or somebody like that. But Matt Prater's fucking old. Part of my language. But yeah, we went ahead and re-signed a handful of guys. Connor McGovern, Mitch Trubisky, Tre'Davious White, our punter. Who else we bring back? Brandon Cooks, Reggie Gilliam. Yes. So good little work there. With that said, we're working with, let's just say, about $34 million. We're somewhere in the $30 million range in free agency. With that said, let us go ahead and hop into my free agency plan, because I think we got a couple cool moves to, pull out the hat here. And we are going to begin with wide receiver Romeo Doubs from the Green Bay Packers. We're going to bring him in on a 4-year, $48 million deal. It's a pretty good contract for a player that I think has just kind of touched the ceiling a little bit. I don't think he's fully gotten there yet. I mean, you can see the numbers here, gotten better year in and year out. Got up to 724, kind of became like a bit of a number one option for Jordan Love last year. He's got a great frame to him, 6'2", 200-something pounds. This is an offense that has just needed an outside weapon next to Khalil Shakir, and unfortunately, Keon Coleman just hasn't developed into that. I'm not saying we cut Keon or trade Keon. Maybe you get, I don't know, a 6th or 7th round pick out of him, but bring in Romeo Doubs. I think him and Josh Allen, his contested catch ability, he's a solid route runner. He can get some separation. He's got reliable hands. He can work in the red zone as well. He can do the jump ball 50-50 stuff. His play style could end up being as a very serviceable number one option with Khalil, with Palmer if you keep him, with a Keon Coleman if you keep him. And we might even still draft another receiver in this class to give them even more weapons. Bringing in Romeo Doubs is just a part of the puzzle piece. I think he can easily be somebody that gets up to 1,000 yards with a quarterback and with an offense that's going to directly feed into him. Let's not forget, he's in Green Bay with Reed, with Matthew Golden, with Christian Watson, with the tight end who was really good before he got the injury. Like, there's so many options there. Oh, and Josh Jacobs as well. Tucker Kraft, that's who I was thinking of. So many options there. For him to still end up becoming kind of at times the number one option with all those talented players is very impressive. Now he goes into an offense where it's kind of him and Khalil Shakir. So that'll be a great spot for him. So, okay, we brought in Romeo Doubs right here. And see, in his first year cap hit is the 16th highest in the team. It's a really good contract. In addition to that, we are also going to bring in safety Jaquan Brisker, the box safety for the Chicago Bears. That can also play a little bit deep. It's a 3-year, $30 million deal. You can see his first year cap hit will be $4 million. Let's sign him. So as you can see, these are his PFF grades. He's 6'1", 200 pounds, a 60.4 overall grade, 50.9 coverage grade. But what I really like about Jaquan Brisker is more of his box safety work. 73.7 run defense grade, which you look at Taylor Rapp, not the best like run defender. Jaquan Brisker is kind of the polar opposite. He gives you size, he gives you some physicality. He's not afraid to get downhill, get his nose dirty. And I still think he's good in coverage. Like, he's a solid coverage safety that can play deep, can play up close. And in the modern NFL, where you're starting to see this sort of nickel safety hybrid player be used more and more, look at Cooper DeJean, look at Kyle Hamilton. Jaquan Brisker has a ton of experience doing that. Now we can start to implement that more into, hopefully, what will be a modern defense for the Buffalo Bills. It's a pretty affordable contract. I think he's such a serviceable player, and I think he just makes the entire unit significantly better. But then outside of that, we currently are sitting at around 21, 30. Let's say right now we're sitting at about $28 million in cap space. We need to probably save about 16 to 15 for the draft class, so keep that in mind. Let us go over here now, and we need a linebacker because we are losing Shaq Thompson and Alex Anzalone, and we need to get some starters here. And that brings us to a big-time player here in Alex Singleton from the Denver Broncos, who we are going to bring in on a 2-year, $9 million deal to be, and you see just a 2.6 year one cap hit with his signing bonus and all that stuff. We'll sign Singleton because, while yes, he is an older player, and at this stage of his career, the best is probably in the past, I still think we can squeeze 1 or 2 really good years out of him. And you can see, man, he is a high-level run defender. Coverage-wise, he's good enough. He's had a couple decent years. This is back in 2022, 73.0 coverage grade. But over the course of the last few years, it's been just kind of mediocre in coverage. But he has been a reliable and consistent anchor in the run game. He's got a good frame, good size, good instincts to him. And again, this is one of the, legitimately one of the worst run stuffing units last year. Now we add an Alex Singleton that can help flow over the top, get off blocks, and put his nose in the run game. Pair that up with Jaquan Brisker, pair that up with Deon Walker. I think it makes for a lot of sense. I don't want to go too heavy on the free agent spending because we don't have a ton of cap space still to go, but I would like to maybe bring in like one edge rusher that can come off the edge and give us a little bit of some run defense for this unit. And just kind of looking at this board, not loving a lot of these options. I guess Samson Ebukam, he kind of checks a couple boxes. I mean, Arden Key's a free agent. I don't hate that one. Cam Jordan, no. I don't mind the idea of bringing in Jadeveon Clowney for a year. I mean, he was really good for Dallas this year. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and sign. I think I'll sign 2, but Odafe Oweh's probably going to return to the Chargers. K'Lavon Chaison's probably going to return to the Patriots. So I don't want to, I don't want to go too crazy. Phillips will probably return to Philadelphia, or really ask for a massive contract, something we just can't afford with Romeo Doubs signing. But Samson Ebukam, we can bring in 2-year, $5.8 million deal, rotational edge. We'll bring him in. And I'll get to his stats here in a second. In addition to that, I'm also going to bring in one other rotational player. So we're losing a couple edge rushers here. And I think we're going to bring in more of a veteran presence if we can find one. And I'm not hating the Jadeveon Clowney move here. Jadeveon had a hell of a year for the Cowboys. We'll do Jadeveon Clowney for a 1-year, $5 million deal. And we're definitely going to be looking at drafting some edge rushers too. So we'll bring in Jadeveon Clowney as well. And let's get to their stats. This is Samson Ebukam, 64.1 overall grade, 60.1 pass rush, 59.0 run defense. You can see the numbers there. Back in 2024, did not play. Back in 2023, though, had himself a really productive year. You can see these numbers. And then let's look back at 2022, another really solid year. He is a bit of an older player, but, he's a part of a rotational for us. And then there's Jadeveon Clowney, who, man, he just had, I don't know what it was with the Cowboys this year, but he just, locked in. That was a Cowboys unit that couldn't get after the quarterback, but for whatever reason, Jadeveon at 33 had himself, legitimately one of his best years. A 79.2 overall grade, an 80.6 pass rush grade, and a 70.6 run defense grade. If we can squeeze one more year out of him, because the deal is a 1-year deal, if we can squeeze one more of this type of year out of him, hell yeah. I mean, this is not even like a fluke. This is 2024. Pretty good numbers here. 2023. Pretty good stuff right here. 2022, I don't know. I feel like this is kind of an underrated signing here that brings us just a little bit more depth options in the edge rushing room. So with that all said, we brought in Romeo Doubs, we brought in Jaquan Brisker, we brought in Alex Singleton, we brought in Jadeveon Clowney, we brought in Samson Ebukam. We probably only have about $10 to $15 million in cap space after that. That'll pay our rookie class. If we have to cut an extra player or two, so be it. Let's hop into the mock draft. And as you guys can see, we are on the 1st and 10 mock draft simulator. Link in the description, of course. 4-round mock draft with the Buffalo Bills. Let's hop into it. And we are going to be up at number 26. And I got to be honest with you, Akeem Mesidor is staring me in the face here. But also CJ Allen is also just slapping me in the face right here. A lot of really good options. If we didn't bring in Jaquan Brisker, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren would 100% be in play here. But we did bring in Brisker, and we already have Cole Bishop in the back end. So we're pretty good there. A lot of really enticing options here. When I look at this depth chart now, I mean, you can throw in an Ebukam. You can throw in a Jadeveon Clowney now in the fold with these positions. You still have Greg Rousseau. I think linebacker's a bigger need here. But what I will say is that both these boards, the linebacker and the edge, like linebacker is pretty deep in this year's class. Now, granted, our next pick is not till pick 60. So we're going to be in a situation where more than likely these top four guys here are going to be gone, which means we're probably looking at Deontay. Maybe Trotter could be there, which I wouldn't hate Trotter for this team. Maybe Jacob Rodriguez, really enticing option. So some options there. Coming off the edge, I still think this board is really solid as well, right? There's some like go-to pass rushers with like a Romello Height. Derek Moore has a ton of upside. I love Joshua Josephs. I just wish he would have performed at the combine, but he didn't. But there's a lot of really good options here. Malachi Lawrence as well, really good pass rusher. I feel like we're pretty good no matter which way we go. I'm going to go with... I think I'm going to go with CJ Allen because I feel a bit more comfortable with the edge rushers later in the board than I do with the linebackers. So let's go CJ Allen here for the Buffalo Bills. And we move over to pick number 60, and this worked out really nice. Zion Young is still available. You can see 6'5", 262-pound edge rusher. Actually, 6'6". He weighed in at the combine. Wish he would have tested with the 40s and things like that, which was a bit disappointing, but he still did a lot of the drills, and he looked very explosive. He moves very well. He was really good at the Senior Bowl. This gives us another player off the edge to pair up with Clowney, to pair up with Rousseau, to pair up with Ed Oliver, things like that. I feel like that makes a ton of sense. Again, we have Romeo Doubs. Let me check the receiver board here really quickly to see if there's anything that like is standing out. I know Fields and Elijah Surratt check a lot of boxes, but I feel like we kind of got that with Romeo Doubs. And I feel pretty comfortable with a lot of these sort of undersized guys. Sorry if my cat's meowing. Jesus Christ. It just got fed. Man. But like Cyrus Allen, I like him a lot. Antonio Williams, very shifty. Skylar Bell. I feel pretty okay with the receiver board for round 3 that we can attempt to get one at 92. And hopefully one falls to us. Maybe like an Antonio Williams. That'd be pretty sweet. We do need an interior offensive lineman still. James Dunker's right here. I don't hate that at all. Ooh, that's enticing. James Dunker filling in at that left guard spot for David Edwards. Be a bit of a move for him, but I could see that pretty comfortably. A lot of really good options. I will say this. I think if I'm just going to go with like BPA and not overthink it, I think Zion is a really good player. So yeah, I'm going to go with Zion Young here. I just think he's the best talent available, and I still think there's a number of really solid players. Plus, I think Zion's a really good run defender with good size and length, good explosive element to him. It's like Zion Young here. All right, but we're back up now at number 92. We did lose Dawson Knox, so Eli Stowers being here, which I honestly, like, I don't think he'll be here. Sometimes, you know, the simulator can let that happen. I don't think he'll be here, if I'm being honest with you. I feel like he's probably going to end up being a day 2 pick or an early day 2, so I'm not really going to entertain that one too much. Tight end is a bit of a need here, though, but I'm not going to take one here at 92. I think we have too many other pressing needs. So far, CJ Allen and Zion Young. Really like the work we've done so far on the front 7. I think now we can maybe focus here with an offensive lineman or a receiver. Let's look at the receiving board here. Not a big Jacoby Lane fan. I don't hate Deion Burks. Really undersized. I just see a glitch here. He's not 6'3", 210. I'll fix that immediately. He is like 5'10", so we'll fix that. Brennan Thompson's interesting. He's very undersized, but man, he is absolute speed, man. Just straight up juice. Kevin Coleman consistently gets open. A lot of decent options here at 92. I don't feel great about any of these options, if I'm being honest with you. I was kind of hoping Skylar Bell would fall to us, but I'm just not feeling great about a Deion Burks pick here. Let's look at the interior offensive line. We got Billy from Notre Dame. What about a tackle maybe that we can kick inside? Yeah, again, I'm not really feeling a ton of these options here, if I'm being real with you. Let's see the big board here. Let's just go best player available here. Jonah Coleman. Maybe I don't hate Jonah Coleman. Well, no, you already have a couple good running back options. I wonder who the fans would want. Grayson Hall had a really good senior or combine, like really good. He measured out really well, tested well, moved well. I don't hate that. See, Slaughter would have been nice if we lost McGovern and kept Edwards, but we did not. Ooh, denied into Sutton. Really stood out at the combine, but we don't really need that. Kyle Lewis, like there's a couple really fun options here, but it's like we kind of addressed them already with this draft. Like CJ Allen with Kyle Lewis, like, I mean, Kyle Lewis kind of can play that hybrid safety linebacker role, I guess. I mean, you're going to need a weak side linebacker. You have CJ. I feel like if I did that, though, like people will not like that pick. I just kind of like, I don't know who I would take here in this spot, right? Like I'm not seeing anything that's really standing out to me that is not a position we've already taken. Right, against Stowers, we're going to just assume he's not on the board here. He's not going to be here. This is a consensus ranking. And sometimes consensus can be wrong, and his is wrong. Stowers will be gone. So maybe we have to fix that in the back end. I'm just not a big fan of Jacoby Lane, just straight up, not a fan. Not at this spot. Day 3 prospect with developmental upside. I'm kind of thinking that we just go Brennan Thompson for like some legitimate track speed. He's going to go to the combine and probably run like a 4.2. By the time you're watching this, maybe he already ran. I'm sure he tested unbelievably well. He's very undersized, which does scare me a little bit, but he has like legitimate speed to him. Dion's also enticing here. I like Dion a lot. He's again, size wrong here, but he's 5'10", has an injury history. I guess we'll go Brennan Thompson here. I think he's going to absolutely light up at the combine, and he gives you an element that even with Dobbs you really don't have, which is like track speed on your offense. So we'll go ahead and take him there. All right, we're back up at pick 122. Kevin Coleman's also here, by the way. Really good prospect. Let's look at the big board. Some good tight end options here as well. Joe Royer, Sam Roush. Don't hate those options at all. In fact, I think that's kind of where I lean initially here. Chris McClellan, I thought was pretty impressive at the combine. Not sure I'm going to take him here necessarily. But we do need some interior defensive linemen, by the way. Like, that is a bit of a need. And there's a couple really solid ones on the board here. But we did cut Dawson Knox. I would say 2 tight ends. Pretty important on this team. I like Sam Roush. I think he could develop into being a solid run blocker with some decent nuance as a receiving threat as well. Joe Royer gives you a lot of size to him. Both these guys do give you a lot of size, though, so it's not that big of an issue. Anything else that's just kind of standing out? Bud Clark, really good at the Senior Bowl, but we already brought in Jaquan Brisker. I like the idea. What about interior offensive line here? Logan Jones, I mean, center. Cage Casey. Ooh, I don't hate that one. He's a tackle, but I think he's going to play interior offensive line in the NFL. Let's look at the tackle board too. No, these are all tackles, I think. Let's go back here. Let's go KH Casey. We have to address this interior offensive line a little bit. And I just personally believe that, like, it might be a little bit of reach here, but we've addressed the defense with 2 front 7 guys. We feel okay about our secondary, especially with Maxwell Harrison taking a step next year. Plus, we added Jaquan Brisker. We added a linebacker as well, 2 linebackers with CJ Allen and Alex Singleton. Feel pretty good about the defense. Now I just want to ensure this offense has some different options and variety. Bo Stevens, though. Ooh, that's interesting. KH Casey or Bo Stevens are my pick here. Let's go with... I honestly don't have an issue either way. Let's go KH Casey, though. Well, actually, you know what, though? Bo Stevens, like, being a true guard is enticing to me. Let's go Bo Stevens. Yeah, we'll do Bo Stevens. But all right, we got there. You can see this is the draft. CJ Allen, Zion Young, Brennan Thompson, and Bo Stevens. You can see this is the first round right here. Cardinal take on the Dallas Cowboys. Pretty interesting pick. As you see, there's some kinks to work out. We'll figure it out. You guys hit the like and subscribe button if you guys did enjoy the video. Please tell me if you think I'm wrong or right with my Bills mock-off season. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Hit the like and subscribe button, and I love you guys. Peace.